What if the greatest alien civilization in our solar system wasn't light years away, but right next door? What if humanity wasn't the first advanced species in this solar system at all? Could an ancient civilization have thrived on Venus long before humans even existed? It sounds impossible, like pure science fiction. But before you dismiss it, consider this. How much do we really know about Venus's past? And could it be that an ancient civilization, one that predated humans by hundreds of millions of years, lived and died on Venus before Earth ever had a chance to catch up? Right now, Venus is the closest thing to hell we know. It's the hottest planet in the solar system, hot enough to melt lead. The air is so dense that it would crush a human like an insect. The sky rains sulfuric acid. It's the last place you'd expect to find life, let alone civilization. And yet, beneath that suffocating atmosphere, Venus is hiding something. Because Venus wasn't always like this. In fact, some scientists believe it may have once been habitable, a twin of Earth with blue oceans, gentle clouds, and a mild climate. Not for a short time either. Climate models suggest Venus could have been Earth-like for up to 3 billion years. 3 billion years. Let's put that into perspective. Dinosaurs ruled Earth for 165 million years before they went extinct. That's less than a fraction of the time Venus might have been habitable. Humans, we've only been around for about 300,000 years, and our entire recorded history, that's barely 5,000 years. 3 billion years is enough time for life to form, evolve, and become something far beyond what we can even imagine. But here's where it gets even crazier. What if life on Venus started before life on Earth? What if Venus had a head start? Venus and Earth formed at the same time, side by side. They had similar ingredients. If Venus was stable for billions of years, it could have been the first habitable world in our solar system. If life arose there before Earth, it would have had an evolutionary advantage, a head start of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of years. On Earth, life went from simple microbes to intelligent humans in just a few 100 million years of stable conditions. Now imagine if Venus had twice that time. Could intelligence have evolved there first? Think about it. We assume humans are the first intelligent species in this solar system. But intelligence doesn't happen on a schedule. If the right conditions existed, why couldn't it have happened before? And here's where things get eerie. Something happened to Venus. Something catastrophic. About 700 million years ago, Venus's entire climate collapsed. The oceans boiled away. The atmosphere thickened into a suffocating, crushing force. The planet's entire surface was reshaped by volcanic hellfire, erasing whatever came before it. If life, intelligent life, had developed on Venus, this would have been their doomsday. So the question is, if there was an advanced species, did they see it coming? And did they try to escape? Let's imagine an intelligent civilization on Venus, watching their world die. Their oceans are receding. The air is becoming toxic. The temperature is rising year after year until it's clear this planet is no longer survivable. What do? Do they fight for survival and fail? Do they build arks, launch ships, and flee to the stars? And if so, where do they go? Well, let's think like a refugee civilization. Mars, cold, dry, barely hospitable. Earth, a paradise, a world teeming with oceans and life, sitting right next door. If a Venusian civilization faced annihilation, Earth would have been the best possible target for an evacuation. But would they have actually made it? And if they did, could we be their descendants? Now, before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk time frames. If there was an advanced civilization on Venus, it would have been wiped out at least 700 million years ago. For reference, the oldest fossils of multicellular animals on Earth are only about 600 million years old. That means whatever happened on Venus ended long before humans, or even the simplest animals, existed here. So no, if Venus ever had an advanced society, they were not the ancient aliens people talk about in conspiracy theories. They didn't build the pyramids. They didn't make contact with early humans, because humans didn't exist yet. But here's a far more interesting question. Could they have planted the seeds of life on Earth? We already know that bacteria can survive space travel. We also know that meteor impacts can blast rock and debris into space, carrying microbes from one planet to another. We've even found meteorites from Mars that ended up on Earth. If a massive impact hit Venus during its habitable period, could chunks of Venus have landed on Earth, carrying bacteria with them? And what if an advanced Venusian civilization, one that saw their planet dying, decided to send life here on purpose? Maybe they didn't make it off the planet themselves, but maybe they saw Earth as their last chance for something to survive. Could they have launched probes? Sent capsules full of engineered microbes to a young, fertile Earth? Could all of life on Earth, everything from bacteria to humans, be the last surviving legacy of Venus? We'll probably never know for sure, because Venus erased itself. The planet's entire surface was reshaped by volcanic activity sometime in the last billion years, meaning any ruins, fossils, or artifacts that might have existed were melted, buried, or crushed beyond recognition. Venus, intentionally or not, covered its tracks. But here's the frustrating part. We haven't looked closely enough. Our last surface mission to Venus was in 1985, and it only lasted a few minutes before the heat destroyed it. We've never sent a rover. We've never drilled into the surface. We've never brought back a single rock to study. We barely know what's down there. And yet Venus keeps teasing us with mysteries. In 2020, scientists detected phosphine gas in Venus's clouds, a gas that on Earth is produced by life. Was it an error, a misinterpretation, or is something still alive up there? Over the next decade, new missions to Venus will finally begin answering these questions. We will scan its surface with new radar, analyze its atmosphere in greater detail, and maybe, just maybe, find something that changes everything. If we find fossilized microbes, that's enough to prove life once existed there. If we find anything engineered or unnatural, well, that would be the single greatest discovery in human history. We might not find ruins, spacecraft, or Venusian bones, but if we ever do confirm that life, any life, once existed on Venus, it would mean one thing for sure. We were never alone, not in the galaxy, not even in our own solar system. And that realization alone should shake us to our core. Because if Venus could have been alive, then how many other worlds and how many other solar systems have risen and fallen, their stories forever lost to time? How many civilizations, perhaps even more advanced than ours, have burned themselves out or been wiped away, leaving nothing but dust in the wind? Maybe Venus is just the first world we suspect. Maybe it won't be the last. Maybe the greatest mystery isn't whether Venus had life. Maybe the greatest mystery is, how many times has this happened before?